A view beyond the glass. From the seat of his worn-out bicycle, Kaio had unknowingly built a daily ritual, one that revolved around a woman he had never spoken to, never met, and knew only through a single open window. Every afternoon, as he made deliveries across the neighborhood, he would pass the same corner where a tall, faded building stood, its bricks weathered by time and its balconies overgrown with climbing plants. But what caught his attention wasn't the architecture or the peeling paint. It was a window. More specifically, window number 7, third floor, right wing. Rain or shine, an older woman appeared behind the glass, always at the same time, as if the world outside her home held the only spark of something real. She didn't wave, she didn't smile, she just watched. And for some reason, Kaio started watching her too. At first, it was a curiosity, then a habit, and eventually a comfort. She was a fixture in his day, reliable, quiet, mysterious. A stranger who, in her stillness, seemed to offer a sense of continuity in a world that changed too fast. Sometimes he wondered what her name was. Other times he imagined what stories she carried in her silence. But he never stopped, never called out. He just rode by, leaving that connection unnamed. Until one Tuesday. That afternoon, she wasn't there. He slowed down, confused. Maybe she was late, maybe she was tired. He looked back several times, hoping the curtain would stir, that a figure would appear behind the glass. But the window remained still, like a photograph left behind. He brushed off the unease and told himself not to overthink it. But the next day, she was gone again. And the next. By Friday, Kaio could no longer pretend it didn't matter. That's when it hit him. She had become part of his life, even without knowing it. Her presence had woven itself into the fabric of his days. Her absence now echoed louder than words. Something wasn't right, and for the first time, he needed to know why. This may look like an ordinary story, but trust me, it's anything but. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Echo Behind the Window. Kaio couldn't shake the strange emptiness the missing woman left behind. Something inside him told him that this wasn't just a coincidence. It was as if a vital piece of the landscape had vanished and taken a part of his own routine with it. That Friday, he finished his deliveries earlier than usual. Instead of heading home, he turned his bicycle toward the building. He stood on the opposite sidewalk and stared at window number 7. The curtains were drawn, unmoving. No figure, no flicker of life. Driven by a mix of concern and curiosity, he locked up his bike and walked into the building. The front door was slightly open, creaking on rusty hinges. The hallway smelled of aging wood and time-worn wallpaper. A man with a bent back and slow steps came down the stairs, holding a bag of groceries. "Excuse me," Kaio said, trying to sound casual. "Do you know if the woman from the 3rd floor is okay? The one who always sits by the window?" "Number 7. The man squinted, hesitating. Then with a tired sigh, he nodded. "You mean Mrs. Amelia, quiet lady, doesn't talk much, lost her husband some years ago. Since then, she's been different, quieter, but she always sat there, every single day at the same time." "I haven't seen her all week," Kaio added. The man looked up toward the 3rd floor. "Me neither." Kaio's chest tightened with a whispered, "Thank you." He climbed the creaky stairs to apartment 307. He knocked gently. Nothing. Knocked again. Silence. He tried the doorknob. Locked. He stepped back, uncertain of what he was even doing there. But something deep inside told him not to give up. The next day he returned with a small bouquet of white flowers. He placed them at her door. The day after that, a note. "I hope you're well. I miss seeing you at the window. C." When He came back Monday afternoon. The flowers were wilted. The note was untouched. But the door was ajar. He hesitated, then knocked. "Mrs. Amelia?" he called softly. Still silence. He pushed the door open slowly. The room inside was warm, filled with soft light, books and a faint scent of lavender. There were framed photos, a cozy blanket draped over a chair, a teacup on the table, half full and long cold. Music played quietly from an old radio, but the apartment was empty. On the small wooden desk by the window, there was a single envelope, written on it in delicate cursive, "To whoever cared enough to notice." His fingers trembled as he opened. Chapter 2, a letter to no one and everyone. If you're reading this, then I suppose my absence finally mattered to someone. That alone is more than I ever expected in my final days. My name is Amelia. For the past few years, I've sat at this window every afternoon. Not because I was waiting for something to happen, but because it was the hour my husband used to return from work. Even after he passed, I continued the ritual. Maybe it was foolish, maybe it was love. I used to believe people disappeared when no one remembered them. I feared that fate, but I also feared becoming a burden, so I stayed here, quiet, invisible. And yet, if you're here reading this, then perhaps I was seen after all. Kaio blinked back tears as the words blurred. He finished the letter, folded it gently, and placed it back where he found it. Later that evening, he called the local hospital. They confirmed what he feared. She had passed away 2 days ago, peacefully, alone. A heart that stopped beating, silently, in the night. The next day, Kaio did something unexpected. At exactly 4 p.m., he stood across from the building, opened a book of poetry, and read aloud. His voice was soft, uncertain, but honest. People walked by, confused. Some stopped. The next day he returned, and the next. Soon, others joined him. Weeks passed. A mural appeared on the building side, a portrait of a woman in a window, peaceful eyes gazing into the world. At the bottom, in bold letters, "She waited for the world, and the world finally looked back." Final reflection. In a world filled with noise, silence can be the loudest cry for connection. Amelia's story reminds us that sometimes the people we overlook are the ones who need us most. A simple act of noticing, of caring, can echo beyond. A single life. We all have windows, and behind them someone is waiting. Enjoyed this story? Then subscribe to the Golden Words channel so you won't miss any others. Every day, we bring you touching and emotional stories. Leave a comment with the city and country you're listening from. Let's spread these stories worldwide.